Hi teenies! So today we're going to be making the tomato, onion and garlic sauce that I use as a base for my cooking. I noticed the other day that I'm running out, so we have 12 pounds of tomatoes, we have the garlic, and we have the onions. So let's get started. Alright, so to get started, I have my little composting bin right here, and as soon as it gets full I'll take that to the composter outside. And I have a few garlic cloves left from my last project, so I'm going to start with those. And the way I like to prepare my garlic is I like to peel them and then put them in hot water, so that makes them easier to remove the covering. Last one in there. Let's get it out. So let me get my hot water. I'm going to finish getting the rest of them in the hot water, and I will be right back for the next step. So last winter I planted some garlic. I'm hoping that I'll have some homegrown garlic this year. And since I'm out of my tomato, garlic and onion base, I'm going to make just enough to last me through the growing season. I'm also going to be growing tomatoes, and I'm also growing some onions. This should be an interesting gardening season. It's my second one, so we're still experimenting, but I am really looking forward to it. Alright, let's do one more of this garlic. This Costco garlic can be disappointing sometimes. See that? So I'm really looking forward to my own garlic. And when we are in the garden, I'll show you the different varieties that I'm planting. And they're all hardneck varieties. Alright, so that's enough garlic. And we're going to put this aside and let it sit in the hot water for about another 20 or 30 minutes. And I'm going to clean up and we can start chopping the onions. I'll be right back. So I've decided to add some more garlic since I still have so much left. Still have all that left, but it's not going to go to waste. I'll use it for a different project. We'll make some onion powder on another video. Okay, that's all done. We'll get this in hot water and we'll let it soak for about 30 minutes while we do the onions. I'm going to clean up my space and we can start chopping the onions. We'll be right back. Alright, so this is what I normally use to clean my space. STERAMINE, and I get it from Costco and Amazon, and I will add a link below so you know where to get it. And they're single tablets, and according to the directions I'm supposed to use 1 to 2 tablets per gallon of water. So I normally cut each one into half and I put it in this sprayer. So I just put in half a tablet. It's a 32-ounce spraying bottle. And as I use it, I put it in here and I spray my space. And I give it about 2 minutes. And then I wipe it off. Alright, so I'm going to go with about 6 onions to start with. When I'm making my base, I'm not very precise with the measurements. I'm not going to worry about getting it exactly all nice and clean because I'm going to rinse this off before I start chopping them. And actually I have found that if I peel this under running cold water, this comes off much easier. And my eyes are less teary, so I may just go ahead and do that and then come back when I'm ready to do the chopping. Whew. All right, we'll be right back. Whew. My eyes needed a minute there. All right, I'm going to go peel this under running water and I'll be right back. All right, so we're back. The onions are peeled. I'm not sure what the science is behind peeling the onions under running water, but it sure helps with the tearing and makes the chopping a lot more pleasant. And I guess I could wear the onion goggles. I just don't enjoy them. Alright, so I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me chop all these onions. I'm going to finish doing this off camera. I have chopped 5 onions and I feel like that's going to be enough. My chopping skills are terrible, but I love chopping. I could have used the processor in the chopping setting, but like I said, I like chopping, so there we go. That's 5 onions. Those are ready to go. And for the next step, we need to process the garlic. So the garlic is ready. So this is how I do this. We're going to need a bowl and I need my little composting container. So I have found that I could either peel the garlic this way, or I can take the garlic and just crush it, and that makes it easier for the peel to come off. Get the little ends off. Yeah, this kind of gets messy. Yeah, I'm not going to make you watch me do every single one. Well, it's not going very well, but you get the idea. Alright, so I don't want to get the big food processor out, and I may have to do that in the end. So I'm going to process the garlic in small batches, and let's see if this works. And if not, I'll get the big processor out. Alright, so my lid is broken, so I have to twist it very slightly. And I think that's going to do the job. So we're going to process in batches. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll be back when I'm done chopping all the garlic. Alright, we have beautifully minced garlic. So I just have to do that 2 more times and get the rest of it done. And we'll be right back. Alright. That's a little bit messy, but it was well worth the process. I started today's day a little bit late because I was out playing in the garden. Let's go ahead and process the rest of this garlic and we can start cooking and chopping the tomatoes. That lighting is terrible. Alright, so that's ready. We have minced garlic. I'm going to get the space cleaned up one more time, and I'm going to prep it for the tomatoes, and we are going to start cooking the onions. Alright, now I'll see you in about 5 minutes when I'm done cleaning up. Okay, so I have 3 batches of these tomatoes. Each one is 4 pounds, so we're going to be doing a total of 12. And I'm going to show you how I like to prepare my tomatoes. So the first thing I do is I core the tomatoes, and I have this little core that I got from Williams-Sonoma. And you don't have to use this, you can just use a knife. This is just a little more convenient. And if it's still available, I'll put a link below. So this is how I use it. The edges are sharp. So I push in and I core it like that. And once I'm done taking the cores out, I'm going to put this in hot water for about 30 seconds and take the skin off. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might just chop them with skins and everything, since I'm not making a plain tomato sauce. I think that's what I'm going to do. So let me get myself a little container and let's get a few of this done. One of the things I like about this thing is once you do the coring, it gets a lot of those little fibrous parts of the tomato. And don't worry, this is not going to go to waste. I put this in the freezer, and when I collect enough, I add a few more tomatoes and I put it in my blender and I make a tomato powder out of it. All right, I'm going to get the rest of this done and we'll get them chopped up. And we'll see you at the stove. And we're going to get the onions going. All right, we'll be right back. So we have our onions and garlic ready to go. And I'm going to be using avocado oil. And we're going to let that heat up. I'm putting in approximately 4 tablespoons. And we're going to let that heat up. And then we're going to add our onions and some salt and let that start browning. All right, so the oil is hot enough and it's time to get the onions in there. And I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of salt. The salt helps to get the liquid out of the onions and get them browning a little faster. So I'll keep an eye on this, and while it's cooking, I'll just keep chopping the tomatoes. So I got my salt container from Amazon. I've had it for a while and I really like it. It has the 2 parts. And I put salt in both. You can put salt in one and pepper in another one, or whatever you want to put in there. I like salt in both. And I'll put a link in the description below to the Amazon store where I got it. The onions have been cooking for about 20 minutes now. Or maybe not quite 20. But you can see that they've reduced quite a bit. And we'll continue to keep an eye on them as we chop the tomatoes. The onions are looking good. Well, they still have a little ways to go. The first batch of tomatoes is done. So I'm going to keep processing the tomatoes while we wait for the onions to cook. So the onions have started caramelizing, as you can see. And at this stage, I'm not going to walk away from them because I don't want them to burn. I just want them to caramelize and brown slightly. So I'm going to halt the tomato chopping for a little bit until I get the garlic and the first batch of tomatoes in here. Alright, so as I'm watching the onions, I'm going to go ahead and feed my sourdough starter because I want to use it tomorrow to make some quick sourdough bread, and I'll make a video of that for you as well. So I'm not very picky about the ratio of flour to water. This is kind of difficult doing it with one hand. Alright, so I'm going to put in probably about 3 tablespoons of flour, and I'm going to put in just a little bit of water, maybe about 1.5 tablespoons. We're going to stir this in. Get it well mixed in there. And that should be ready for my loaf tomorrow. And I should mention that my sourdough is about 2 years old now, so it's a mature starter. So don't worry too much about it. If you want me to do a video on how I started my sourdough starter, just let me know in the comments below. Alright. We are getting there. And I'm going to let this go for another 5 minutes or so, and I'm going to keep stirring now every 2 minutes or so until it's all nice and caramelized. And I'm not worried about the brown at the bottom. As long as it's not burning, we should be okay. So I'll just keep stirring every few minutes, and we'll be right back when we're ready to add in the garlic. That is looking good. The onions are beautifully caramelized, and it is time to add the garlic. We're going to let this cook for about 5 or 8 minutes, just so the garlic doesn't have the raw taste. It's quite a bit of garlic, which is perfect. Alright, I'm ready to start filling the jars. So I'm going to avoid getting liquids into the jar. I'll start with the solids, and then I'll put the liquid in later, so all the jars will be even. Alright, so all the jars are filled, and I just have to wipe the rims, and I'm using white vinegar because we used oil to do the cooking. I want to make sure the rims are nice and clean so the lid will seal. And we have 6 half pints and 6 1-pint jars. I like the little half pints because I can use them when I'm making an Indian breakfast, and the next time I make it, I'll record it for you. Alright, all set. We're ready for the lids. Make sure these are on finger tight. Alright, we need 1 more, actually 2 more. That one feels wonky. That's fine. Alright, and these are ready to go into the pressure canner, and we will see you as I get them out. And I'm going to pressure can this for 20 minutes. I'll verify that on the book. I believe it's 20 minutes for the pints, and I'll do the same time for the half pints. Alright, so it is 15 minutes for the pints, not 20. And we'll be back when I take them out of the pressure canner. The first set of the tomatoes are out of the pressure canner, and as you can see, that one right there is still boiling. So I can fit 4 of them into the pressure canner. Alright, there we have it. We're done.